Welcome back to the AC Reggiana rebuild. And if this is your first time watching, go back, because this is going to make no sense, and the rebuild isn't as satisfying to watch if you weren't there from the beginning. You have to watch the trenches, please. I also need the views. If you were here last time though, you would remember that we actually did pretty decently last season, and we got an actual mid-table finish for once. And if you remember, Serie, our main center back, oh, he's retiring now, which is good. We can't even sell him. I actually renewed him last season right before I started the recording just to sell him this season, but he's retiring, so I can't even do that. But yeah, he is old. He's regressed all the way down to 67 from like 72. He was a block in the backfield, and he's gotten old. He should walk off the pitch proud. He assisted AC Reggiana in getting this rebuild on its feet. Now, considering that we have literally no center backs besides Maroni, who also is getting kind of old, and Van de Black, who is doing great, to be honest, we need to sign a center back. And not just the center back. I'm under the impression that we need to sign maybe a backup striker. Although Hirma's not bad, and he's actually quite young. Let's renew him right now, because it's going to be quite cheap. There you go. I would say we need more wingers. Wingers, fullbacks, and center backs. But I think our main focus should... Oh my god, Minsu's just gone up to exciting prospect. He did that well last season. But as I was saying, wingers, fullbacks, and center backs with a heavy emphasis on a center back, because we are really desperate right now. Like, we've got a 29-year-old who is 68 overall, a 66 overall 21-year-old, which is just not good enough in my opinion. And our fullbacks are good. They both got decent potential, although Baker Whiting doesn't have any like tagline. He's still good. He's played well. And our goalkeeper is solid. He's still growing. You know, he's quite young for a goalkeeper. And our midfield isn't so bad. We've got good bench. We've got good starters. And of course, we have the best cam in all of Serie B. I would go as far to say. So the first thing I'm going to look at is obviously free agents. They are the cheapest. I'm going to try to not sign any regens this time. But if I really do see one, I'm not going to pass up. I'm only going to look for center back free agents because I could find fullbacks. And there was a lot of fullbacks last season in the free agency. But I don't think we need them that bad. Or... I'm really thinking maybe I sign an existing like solid center back who's worth about, oh, I haven't even checked the budget. Let me do that. We have 4 million to work with here, which is hopefully actually 4 million and not like 3. Oh, it's 4 million. Great. Perfect. Whether it's a free agent or an actual player to sign, I think we use the money on a center back rather than, you know, free agent signing. I mean, there's like some good, oh, this guy's already signed. I was going to say there's some good free agents that looks solid as fullbacks and not as many. That might be a regen. Actually, no, stats are nowhere near good enough. But as I was saying, there is plenty of fullbacks in the free agency that look solid or at least good enough for a backup position. But I mean, I can check really quickly for any good center back free agents. Like, as you can see, like, they're just not... Oh, that guy's actually quite good. Okay, there are some decent free agents in here, but I would assume that it's going to take some time for them to develop, and they're not going to come in like Dragovic. You know, it doesn't look like any of these guys are regens, like straight up. This guy is actually quite decent. He's 22 already. He's 6'4". I don't know if he has play styles. There's no indication of that. I could just scout him for now, because that's a good free agent pickup. Just someone who can come in, is already 22, is got a bit of experience. You know, that's not how FIFA works, but I like to believe that it actually cares how old my players are. But besides him, like, oh wow, this guy, oh, he's just strong. Never mind. He's actually quite old too. I'm not saying 27 is old, just old for football. It's not even old for football, old for FIFA. This guy looks pretty good too. I'm going to look into him. He's 6'3". He might have a playstyle. He probably doesn't. Oh no, he doesn't. Wait. Does it just show playstyles for everyone? Yeah, none of these guys have playstyles. Okay. Or it's unknown. Does that mean actually unknown? Or is that the game just telling me, whoa, an American? He looks pretty solid too. I am shortlisting all these guys, but I'm going to go find, probably on FootWiz, a center back that is around the 4 million price range. Although it's been 2 seasons now into the game, I'm just going to find someone who is around the level of this team. All right, so first player I found on FootWiz, you know, complete transparency here, was Joan Gadol, who is apparently quite good potential wise, but it has been 2 years, so maybe his potential has been squandered here by Red Bull Salzburg. It was Leipzig, I'm not gonna lie. So like his His release clause is really low. I don't know how much he's worth. I'm just going to keep him here and scout him so I don't overpay, you know, because I could just activate the release clause and then call it a day, but I'm going to hold off on that. Going to wait to see if I can get him for like significantly cheaper, if not release clause. And then I can spend the rest of the money on coaches and free agents because we need to fill this bench with solid players. And the coaches are really big in this game for development. So I'll be back when everyone is scouted and I'm ready to make my decision. So apparently my scout was actually just really slow and he took much longer than I expected. I'm literally on match day for the first preseason game and he just finished his scouting report. He's worth 1.8 million, but I think, yeah, about 1.3 if I throw in a little bit of magic. But Bianchi, who's a free agent, is higher overall, but he is also older and shorter. And this guy has long throw, an interesting one. I think I'm going to keep Gadot. He's got better pace. You know, his physical and defending are not all that much worse. It's just 2 overall. And maybe I'll just sign both. You know, one can be a backup piece. Hopefully I can get Bianchi on something like a sporadic role, or maybe even Gadot on the sporadic role. I just want a bit of rotation. And also, Bianchi is really the only one who guarantees a start, knowing how this game works. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get this Gadot deal through. Going to try to get him for about 1.3, so I have plenty of money to spend on youth, free agents, and coaching. Okay, so Gadot, easy signing. I got him for 1.3 plus sell-on clause. No real troubles. I got him on an important role, which is not the best because I know he's going to be complaining mid-season if he's not being played as much. But hey, what can you do, right? I think the game's going to sit here and tell me this was an amazing deal because I believe it in my heart. Okay, I probably could have got him for 1.1. He did accept my deal like instantly, but 200k, it's nothing to us this season. I think I'm going to go ahead and sign Bianchi as well, just for a bit of security at the back. You know, we need some rotation pieces here. And maybe look at some of these other players. I mean, look at every free agent from last season we scouted. They were all snatched up by someone. Ackman is another player who I think could fit. I think I'm going to scout him, see if I can get him on transfer deadline day. But for now, I'm just going to sign Bianchi and maybe look at other free agents to fill other positions. Okay, so Bianchi, really the only free agent I'm going to highlight today, comes in. I brought him in as an important role as well and paid him about £4,000 a week. Not the worst. He wanted like a crazy bonus for appearances, and I just said no. Don't really want to pay that out if he does hit it, because I think he will, considering his overall and age. He's better than Maroney in quite literally every stat besides physical, and the shooting does not matter. Don't try to argue. So this is what the squad looks like for now after that free agent signing. I did say, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to fill out more of this bench with free agents. Probably some fullbacks, maybe a winger or two. And, I mean... Oh, wow, Dragovic went up to 80. Probably... No, I have a backup striker who is not that bad. I would say probably a CDM. CDM winger and fullback. I will be back when those are all done and, you know, done deal. Alright, so I finished signing some players I found out there. And I may have lied a little bit. I signed another center back. I saw him and his free agent stats were just too good to pass up on. And he's going to be in there. That means I have a bit of an overload with center backs, so I'm going to get rid of Maroney. I mean, I should have done that from the start. I also found this left winger who does not start, but he is an amazing backup. He's 18. He's got rapid and chip shot. Might even just start over... No, wait. Du has Trickster? Okay. He's not starting over Minsu, but maybe I can develop this guy into some sort of striker and have him play... I also found this rapid right back who can play at the left back, but I'm still going to be starting Baker Whiting. I want to start as many real players as I can. I don't want this to just be a bunch of free agents. I also found this guy. He looked quite good, so I picked him up. This guy, he didn't look like amazing, but I thought decent solid piece to back up whoever needs to be backed up. That's what a backup does, doesn't he? So this is what the team and the bench looks like now. I think we have a solid bench to really make up for any losses during international duty, which was really hurting us last year. whenever our players like Mikic or Dragovic had to go out on international duty, there was no one to pick up the slack. I mean, Portanova, sure, but then our backline's kind of exposed, and or Tata as well. You know, at least this kid, he can play. You know, we know he can play. Before, I mean, we were relying on someone who's not even that much worse, but hey, more depth is never a bad thing. But like I said, Serie has to stay because he's retiring. Moroni has to go. I'm going to re-sign him, you know, just because logic in real life would be, oh, they've re-signed him, he must be high value, right? And he fetches a higher price when he has contract in place and his contract isn't slowly running down. Next thing I want to do is definitely get some coaches on. Coaches are very important for development. Than others like Minsu, because Minsu falls under the midfielder category. I'm going to move this 5-star into defense simply because our defense also has nothing back there, and midfielder stars seem easier to come across. Holy, that guy looks insane. But I'm going to sign this guy. Probably just going to put him here. And then get some more midfielder ones here. Actually, no, I'm changing my mind here. This is... How many more coaches can we hire? 3. Oh, this is amazing. I love this game. Oh, I'm out of money. Never mind. I guess I just don't have any budget at all. That's okay. I think our squad is good enough to reach the playoffs this season. And again, like I said last episode, if you forgot, I will be playing the finals if we make it all the way. I'll be playing the highlights of the finals and I will stomp on them. I do not care how cheese it is. I don't want to lose to bullshit in a final. Also, I should just block transfers from Molebe because not even Bayern could get him. So he's not going anywhere until he's worth like 100 million. And then I'm like, okay, time to bring in a cheaper man who's just as good. Which probably isn't going to happen. Every time I play this game, I have like some sort of emotional attachment to all my players. But I'm going on a ramble here. I'm going to simulate the preseason and I'll be back when the start of the season is upon us. We've reached the end of the preseason and we did not win a single game. Wasn't as bad as last season though. We drew 2. And the last game was like 3-3, some sort of brace from Portanova. I don't know how that happened. He did not do anything like that last season. But hey, this game does not care what they did last season. Although maybe Portanova just decided, oh yeah, I got rid of Moroni, by the way. He got me $1 million. I couldn't reject that. Like, oh, apparently we lack quality. Even though literally every one of the players listed there is better than Moroni, numbers-wise. And not only that, we have 4 center backs. 4. Not 3. We don't even have 4. We have 5. But Sam Presti's sitting on the reserves. He's an old man. He can just take his break, take a rest. But Molebe did really well preseason. He scored 2 goals. The wing didn't do all that well, but it's okay. You know, it's a process. They're still young. They can still learn. Although, I need Minsu to be on form again. He was doing amazingly last season, and I need him to step it up again. Besides that, there's nothing really left to do besides sign coaches, which I'm going to do off camera. And then I'm going to simulate through the season. I don't really have anything big to do on camera here. I'm just going to sim through the season and I'll be back at the midpoint. So we've made it to the midpoint of the season. And I'll be honest, it's looking a little bit similar to last season, which isn't a bad thing. It's looking a bit more consistent though, to be honest with you. We've won more games than last season, I think. Or at the very least, I think we've lost less games. I've been seeing in the sim a few times. I haven't been like watching it as much as last season. Molebe has been having an immaculate season. Much better than Minsu, who's also having a decent season, but definitely not as good as last season. We have a look at the stats here. Minsu's 5-2, which I think is like a little bit under what he was doing last season. Molebe, on the other hand, has scored 12 goals, which I think is a bit over last season. I'll put him up on screen. Dragovic has definitely outperformed himself from last season. And everyone's playing pretty decently. The decision to strengthen the bench was honestly probably my best idea. I mean, it makes sense. You know, strong bench means strong consistency. And the reason I say that is because we had a game this season with international duty players being off for the game. And we won like 3-2. I couldn't believe it. We had actually won a game with Dragovic being gone. But that's enough dilly-dallying. Let's have a look at the table and see where we actually stand. Oh yeah, we also made it out of the first round of the Coppa Italia for the first time. We beat some like lowly team. Okay, I really don't know how to work these new menus. But let's just look at the league. We're 7th, which is above where we were last season. Our goal difference of 1, which is 1 above last season, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put him up right here. But yeah, just marginally better than where we were last season at the midpoint. We have a positive record this time, which is great to see. We are not that far off 6th, but we are a little bit far off 4th. I did look up the playoff rules on Google. I'm not sure if the game fully follows them, but Google said for Serie B playoffs, 7 through 8 go into preliminary round and play around to see if they get into playoffs. So hopefully it's true and we get into the playoffs somehow. A couple things I'd like to highlight. Zito is kind of plateauing at this point in his career. I'm thinking next season we look at a new keeper, because although Esposito is good, I think he's better suited for a backup role, because the keeper is so important. And if we get into a playoff game, the keeper being 74 overall or 73 overall compared to being like 81 is a huge difference, and keepers are not that expensive on the market. The other thing I'd like to highlight, Russell, our highest potential player, is now 16. He's ready to be called up to the senior squad, but I'm gonna hold off. He is 5-star, but he's only 59 overall. I think I'm just gonna let him sit until like he demands to be led into the senior squad. Honestly, as it stands, I don't think he's ready. But aside from those two little things, our season is going spectacularly as it stands, and it's looking really good for the next half of the season. I think we can keep this form up, especially with the depth we have now this season, and I think we'll be able to make it into at least a preliminary round. And if it doesn't have the preliminary round in this game, I'm just going to pretend like it does and say we made playoffs and we just lost in the preliminary round. Do note that we were 12th last season, or 11th, I think, last season. So this result at the midpoint is looking really good. That's bugged, by the way. We didn't lose that game. We drew 1-1. I don't know why it keeps doing that. It did that earlier. We drew a game and then it said we won, and I was like, what? But it's just a weird bug. I'm going to sim through the rest of the season, and hopefully we're sitting around that 8, 6, 7, maybe even 5th position by the end of it. So I'll be back when that's all finished. Yeah. Okay, so we've made it to the end of the season, and I'll be honest, I'm just about as blind as you are on the season. I have not seen anything. Oh, besides that, we lost the last game. Not a good sign, to be honest. I've looked up a few times, and it's been a couple draws. Not the greatest sign, but it's not also the worst. Really hoping for this top 8, and considering that we have no games, I think we did not make it. So let's look at April. April, oh, not a single win in April. March, okay, 2 wins. Oh man, Sassuolo beat us down. The game against Pisa, I will say apparently we had 2 suspensions during that game. I don't know how when we won the game before. Who knows? So yeah, February, 3 wins and 1 loss, and a close loss. That's not bad at all. And January, 1 win, 2 ties, and a cup loss, which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So why did we not make playoffs? Or did we make playoffs and they just haven't shown up yet? Let's have a look at the table. 7th place. I think our issue is the game does not take into consideration the preliminary round, or it just doesn't exist, or it's simply because the table is not finalized. We could fall to 9th. Empoli is playing Cittadella, who are 14th, and they can easily win that game, and they would be above us on the table at the end of the day. And Venezia is playing Lecce, who are 4th. So we do have a good chance of staying here, flying for that 8th. We're really hoping for that one, because these are the only 2 teams that really challenge us here. And I just hope both teams honestly lose, because I don't want to be knocked out of playoffs simply because these teams won. So these games happen on the 2nd and the 3rd of May. I'm going to simulate through those 2 days, or I'll just simulate the first one and just pray that we're good. It's official. Empoli has lost. We have secured 8th at the very least in this season, which in real life would be preliminary round, aka first round of playoffs, but I don't think they have that in this game, and we were 10 points off 6th. So we have some work to do, and I think a big concern right now is the goalkeeper. We're scoring goals, but a lot are going in at the same time. Let's look at the record. I completely forgot. 14, 12, and 12. Positive record. Better than last year, obviously. We're at a much higher position. I mean, I'll put the last year's table up on the screen. But Arsenal reaching... Dude, this game is so strange. Let's have a look at the... You know what? Before we have a look, let's end the season properly and see if we actually make it in. Oh my god, the game has preliminary rounds. I lied. I'm a liar. I doubted the game. We are in. We are in for playoffs, and we might be able to make it through. We lost. We lost 4-3 in pens. I didn't even get to play it. I saw that Dragovic was named man of the match, and I thought we had won it. But we've lost in the first round of playoffs. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's our first time in the playoffs, but it's our third year in Serie B. And honestly, I was kind of hoping to get out of here. But you know what? It's a good season. Let's have a look at the squad stats. I'm sure Dragovic, Minsu, and Molebe all did amazingly. Zito, played his thing. Minsu, once again, showed up in every game. 7-3. Definitely not what I expected from Minsu. He put up an immaculate season last year. And it's not quite there this year. Same thing with Molebe, who I think has scored the same amount of goals, but his GAs have been a bit worse. Also, no goals in the Coppa Italia this year for him. Dragovic scored the only one. But Dragovic has had an up year. He's 14-4, which is better than last year. A lot less assists than I expected, but Du has put up 6. I think he's the leading assister of the team. He is. That's really impressive, honestly, because he's not really scoring goals, but that's pretty good. Portanova also. It's a bit strange. He comes off the bench and he scores a lot, but not that good. It's so strange what this game does. But overall, the team did pretty well. Rosita with only 7 clean sheets. I think he needs to go. I think I will re-sign him. He'll be good backup, but I think we need a new keeper. Someone who is at the 80s, which I guess you could argue doesn't match Serie B. It's not meant for Serie B, but I would disagree. I mean, they're all growing. They've all gone above 70 besides the defenders. Van de Blok has grown like 3, which isn't insane, but all the defenders are growing. Baker Whiting has grown. I'm going to play Baker Whiting instead. Godot's the only one who hasn't grown as much, but that's okay. Carlson has weirdly grown much more than I thought. I think I'll send him out on loan because he's kind of being annoying about his playtime. But I will do all that and more next season because this is the end of this season. We finished 7th, respectable finish in the Serie B. We made the playoffs, simply got unlucky in penalty shootout and lost the first round. Real Madrid won the Champions League. Thank you for winning that one because we did not want to see an Arsenal Champions League victory. It's not realistic. We made it to round 2 for the first time of Coppa Italia. And we've made the playoffs for the first time ever in a season. Next season, I'm feeling really confident. I was feeling confident about this season. And honestly, for good reason. We moved up 5 places, I think again, from last season. And we made it into the playoffs for the first time. We've done a lot of firsts this season. And next season, hopefully, our biggest first will be first time getting promoted, or first and last time getting promoted to Serie A. But that'll do it for this season and episode of The Rebuild. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'm trying to make these a bit shorter. This one should come in at it'll still come in at 30 minutes. I kind of yapped for a little too long, but that's okay. Not much else to say. That'll do it.